Hi guys, I know some of you are out there now struggling with this idea that you're going to have to start teaching online when you've traditionally been in a classroom with your kids, but because of the virus issues, a lot of schools are starting to send their kids home. And particularly for some of you who rely on things like having a whiteboard in class, I just wanted to give you a couple thoughts on that. First thing is, I can remember back when I was a math teacher in the 90s and I received my very first ever computer LCD panel, which literally was not an LCD projector, but it was a panel that had an LCD screen on it that sat on top of the traditional, uh, you know, overhead projector, right? So if you remember, you had like the kind of overhead projector thing with the light bulb down here, and the light goes up and it reflects, and then it hit the wall. This little panel sat here like this, connected to my computer, which of course back then was some big giant box, and that's how I got stuff projected to the wall. And when I first got that, it was probably 1997, 98. I was so excited. I found some version of PowerPoint, which was probably like PowerPoint version 2, who knows. It was really ancient. And I spent like all afternoon trying to make these videos, or this PowerPoint of, I think it was something we were at the time middle school. We were studying like integers, and so all this stuff with like lots of minus signs and then a number, and these two cancel each other out and you end up with -2 and all this. But it was like one slide after the next, after the next, after the next, and then I used it to kind of do a presentation on the next day, and I thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread, except that when I was all done I realized it was just not feasible because it took so much time to do what on a whiteboard, or back then I had a chalkboard, took me almost no time whatsoever. And I think that's just a reminder to all of you, is that as you are potentially like me right now in my basement, having to start to figure out how do I reach my kids at school when normally they're right in front of me and I just go up to my whiteboard and I just do math or whatever it is that you might be teaching. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. So right now, basically, I've got my laptop set up, kind of sitting on a shelf, pointing at me at my whiteboard, and I'm talking to you. And that's all you really have to do. Record that for the pieces where you just simply need to get information to them. If you need to draw something, draw it, whatever. You can always do voiceover PowerPoint or keynote slides, something like that. I got another video on that, but for now, sometimes just keep it simple, and get the content out there so that you can spend more time thinking about the harder parts, which is going to be probably the interaction with the kids, and trying to keep up with kind of some sort of a kind of online assessment, formative assessment model, so you can kind of know how are they doing, how's their progress, those kinds of things. The delivery of the content, keep it simple, and don't spend a huge amount of time on it unless you really think you're building content that you're going to reuse over and over and over again into the future. So anyway, so that's my quick message for you. I hope that was helpful. Thanks. Bye.